Hello, everybody. Let me just get this set up. Sorry. Okay, get my notes open. Okay. It's kind of cool talking in the middle of the day, right? So I'm going to try and because I know a lot of you guys are on your lunch breaks, so I'm going to try and condense as much as I can into this half hour, hopefully. But again, this is with the idea that it plants a seed, and then we can continue those conversations privately, one-on-one. Also, probably because a lot of these questions I'm going to ask you today are specific. So try my best to stick to the time, but definitely make sure your chat box is open and you're interacting with this as much as possible. Okay. So we're going to tackle our three topics today. We're going to tackle personal style, cooking, and communication. And now that might all sound really random, like why the hell is this all in a Zoom together? But I think that, one, I loved all of the topics. And when we gave you guys as the winners the option on those topics, I was like, I think they're all really important. So why not condense it all? So let's kick off with personal style. The way this is going to work is I'm going to have more so questions to ask you guys. And the way I'm going to deliver what I think on it is based on what you guys can add in the chat. So make sure, you're adding there. Get my chat box open. Okay. So when it comes to personal style, first question here is, what is your style? Tell me in the chat. What is your style? Describe it to me in a few words and a sentence and a comparison. Just when the question is asked of you, what is your personal style? What comes to mind? A lot of you might be like, I don't know, that's okay. That's an answer. My style's all over the place, florals, bright colors, but I have to be comfy. Kind of punk, kind of funky, kind of whatever the hell I want. I feel like mine is mishmash. I tend to go for looser fitting tops and dresses. I always used to be very boho type, but nowadays I just enjoy comfort. Yeah. So I agree. Comfort is like top priority. And when it comes to personal style, for those of you guys who don't know what your personal style is or how to describe it, what do you like to look at? Because that's the other side of it. Sometimes we don't feel for some reason like we can embody what we like visually, the aesthetic that we find pleasing. We don't really think we have that luxury of implementing it for ourselves necessarily, especially when you're dealing with so much, right? Like, I just want to be comfortable. But it's like when a client is in survival mode, and you guys know my feelings on that term. But they're actively doing things that are making it harder for them to survive, but they think that they're so overloaded and overwhelmed with thought in the moment that if they just push aside the stuff that they have to think about, like food or rest or anything like that, because I just got to get through it, that it's going to be easier. It's survival mode, but it's not. All it is not being able to prioritize yourself, which would make everything simpler. So it's kind of like the same concept with style, where it's kind of like we're just going through the motions almost, and we don't feel like we can prioritize. We don't have the room to prioritize something like that necessarily. And then throw on top of that body image issues, it makes sense. So why don't you feel confident? Like, what do you feel like your personal reason is for not feeling confident in embodying your personal style outwardly as much as you would want to? So why don't you feel like you feel confident to utilize that style outwardly all the time? I love boho style in the 90s. My style has been 90s since the 90s. I love that. I think for me, it's about liking the aesthetic, but not thinking I have to have that body type to pull off that look. Like, oh, I love that style. But what I'm really thinking is, oh, I love her body type and wish that was me. So trying to disconnect the style and fashion from the super skinny model body. Yeah, I love that point. And I think that's, I used to say something called, this is really shitty to believe this, to think this way, but I'm just going to try and be transparent. I used to be like, oh, she's just maintenance pretty. Maintenance pretty, meaning thin with thick hair, with like makeup on, clear skin, but like makeup always done, outfit to the nines, nails done, everything, and that's how I would dismiss my own feelings of insecurity and my own feelings of inadequacy. I would be like, oh, she's not really pretty. She just got a lot of money and time, and she's skinny. She'd look good in anything. Really, it was just me vocalizing my yearning for that to be the case. Now, that wasn't a great was comparison. It was really, demeaning and stuff like that. Now, as I'm older, I obviously don't feel that way, but I think that's a good point there where it's like, is it that is something you'd want to wear? Or is it that as a whole on their thin body, that's a great look you wish you could have for yourself in entirety? Definitely relate to that. Mine is more of a trauma response still from when I was married. It was a way to hide myself, and I'm still trying to get out of that mindset. For sure. It's also a big trauma response for anybody who has faced, assault. It's a mechanism, a defense mechanism. If I'm unseen, if I'm not dressing up, if I'm not trying to attract attention, subconsciously even, it's a way of feeling safer, a way of sabotaging ill intent, and it's not really talked about a whole lot. Body dysmorphia makes me change like 20 times before I leave. However, I love getting cute and wearing fun things. I've never even been afraid to dress in my individual style. I used to make my own clothes because I couldn't find the stuff I wanted. Now that stuff is trendy. List that on Poshmark. I'm just saying, but I totally get that, well, Mo, for that, you remember the Zoom I did where I challenged everyone? I was like, okay, I want you to get ready to the best of your ability of what you think would look good without really looking in a mirror. Use a little mirror to do any makeup you want to do or whatever. Put on the clothes you want to put on, do your hair to the best of your ability, and then just go out. Just go out. Don't check a mirror, and don't let people don't tell people no for pictures. Just don't let them show you the pictures. Your goal is to have a great time. If someone gets a picture of you having a great time, to go with it. Remember that in that Zoom? And people are horrified when I usually tell them that. But if you do this with somewhere safe at first, you start to give your brain proof that it doesn't matter. You could go out in a garbage bag, right? Like if you're having a good time, you're having a good time. It's all subjective. Logically, we know that. Body dysmorphia makes that a really scary place to be. But the more evidence you can give, it's like with OCD, right? Like the more evidence that we gain little by little, then the more our comfort zone expands, so to speak. The safety net expands, and you don't feel like you need to check a mirror. You don't feel like you need to have, get changed 20 times. It is just truly about like, am I in something that I can enjoy my time in? And then, we end up finding on those pictures, you look so much better because we look awful when we try to pose typically, like we're like sucking in and we're like, our shoulders are up like this, we're like hiding behind people and it's not just the weight we see, it's just the overall aura we see, but when you see a picture where you weren't thinking, it was an authentic moment captured, we tend to always look better. And I'm not talking when you're eating a piece of chicken, like it looks great when they're like eating food and someone snaps a shot from like down here, it's like the worst. I don't care who you are. You could be, like a Hadid and you can still that's what's going to happen. But I think it's all about the perception, if we can expand that where it's like, I don't need to give a shit about the way I look. Hell, maybe tell yourself you might look bad. Be like, you might look like shit, but we're going to go for it. You'll be surprised to find it's the opposite. And then it gets easier over time. But body dysmorphia is a bitch. I want to make my own clothes. That's so cool. I don't know what my style is. I gravitate towards comfort rather than style. So here's a good point I want to point out. So comfort does not have to be synonymous with coming second to style. I won't wear heels. So I buy them if they look really cute, if they're different, and I always have the intention of making them work, but I put them on and then they suck and then I return them because I'm just not going to be somebody who does that. Like my feet, I have dermographism, my feet blow up like crazy. Nobody ever believes me and they think I'm just being a baby. Like I remember growing up being like, why can you suffer through heels? But I literally cannot. Like, is it that I have a low pain threshold? Because I don't think so. Like, but and it's because my feet blow the hell up. I have health issues, right? So do I then opt for, wearing Crocs all the time? I wish. But no, I make it a point to find comfy, cute shoes that fit that. When it comes to clothes, I love baggy clothes, right? Like I really do. I don't like things to be completely tight to my body. I mean, even this is like a crop top and it's like a loose like sweater, like I don't like really constrictive stuff. It's not comfortable to me. I could be a size 0. I don't care. I don't really enjoy that personally. So everything I wear is comfortable. It must be. I will not, like, my sensory overload will not allow me to be present and not have a full-blown panic attack if I'm not comfortable in what I'm wearing. But it just ups the ante in the things that I buy. I have to make sure that the reviews say it's comfy. I have to make sure that, it is gonna be like, I look at the size chart. There is a way to merge comfort and style. I think cute gym shorts or gym shoes are life. Yeah. And Doc Martens when I want to be more dressed up. Oh my God, Docs kill my feet though. The break-in period is like too much for my feet. I gave up on the boots really quick, but I also bought these really cute Doc Martens sandals. They were sold out everywhere. And I was like, I don't care. I got them. I brought them to Greece with me, right? And I'm like, I am gonna debut these bad boys. As in, did not break them in, just took them out of the package and put them on my feet. And I'm like, and I'm gonna go out in Athens. I'm gonna walk around Athens, Greece in these shoes I've never broken in before with no backup flip-flops or anything. I refuse to walk on the street barefoot. I cannot, but I had to unbuckle both of them and just kind of like curl my toes in and hobble up the cobble steps. And I had cuts on the back of my ankles. Like my feet looked like they had been through war. Like I hadn't worn shoes in months. I love them, but I never wore them again. So comfort always comes first. Just doesn't mean that style has to suffer. I have the same docs since my senior year of high school. I'll never give them up. I really wish I could ever get through the break-in period. It's just, I'm gonna break me before those things get broken in. So unfortunately, maybe I can send them to someone who has the same size foot as me. Like someone else break them in. But here's the thing though. What's your fear? If you were to have a closet that was, it's not just clothes, there's hair, there is your hair color, your hairstyle, there's accessories, there's all these different things that go into it. And then makeup, if you feel like it. I don't really wear makeup anymore, but whatever. Style has so many different ways of manifesting, but it all relies on one thing. You to know that truth and you to be proud to wear that regardless of being seen, regardless of what other people are going to interpret it, if it's appropriate for your body type, if it covers your ass, right? I mean, even if you don't want it to cover your ass, whatever, but if it covers your ass, then like it's fine to wear. If other people don't like looking at you, there is a plethora of places they could look at. You're never going to see them again, so it really is like, what holds us back from embodying that style? When you're looking at a website and you're like, that's so cute. Let me look at the size chart and buy it. And I'm not going to sit here and be like, is it flattering? Just buy it. Is it cute? What do you guys think? Hold that back. Adela, that would be amazing if you could send me a silicone sock that helps with like any shoe break-in, because so many shoes are just like lost to the dust. Because I had hoped that it was comfy and then they weren't with my flat ass feet. So what holds you back from being seen, from really embodying, from just buying something you think is cute, whether it's the cut of the shirt, whether it is the color or the pattern or what would be exposed, whatever, what holds you back? Honestly, I have the opposite problem where I buy literally everything, and then if I don't feel good in it, I just shove it in my closet. Well, also, I suck at returning things, but try buying something if you can, when buy one thing at a time, but buy it in two sizes. Find the one that feels the best, like buy it in the size you think it is that it should be, and then one size up. And then try on the one that's one size up. Go for that one first. If that is like really big, then go down to the next size. If that one is small, don't be upset. Now you return these both. That label runs really small. It's not like it's not you if from one shirt to the next that's the same size, you don't fit in one versus the other. That's the manufacturer. The label means shit. So I like to buy one thing at a time if I'm unsure of it, but in multiple sizes. And then I just return the ones that don't fit. I don't know if that helps. And that's why I do Amazon, because you can literally just go drop it off at Kohl's in like a freaking garbage bag, and then they'll take it. So I've always worried about what other people will say about me. This year I've tried to combat that and bought a cute romper. Hell yeah. Like I want you to also think of if it's comfortable on you. Like we were saying, you put it on and it's not, let's use the romper. The torso is okay. It's not like, giving you a perma wedgie in the front and the back. You don't feel like you got a mile long crotch, like it's like a good romper or whatever, right? Put that on and go out in public and force yourself to look at people looking at you. You're going to find that many of them don't. Many of them just don't notice. You're at Lowe's. They don't give a shit about you, right? You're at Home Depot. Like no one's caring about your crotch. So there's that. And then also you get a feel for just like, again, saying in your head, well, sorry, this is 2 points. You guys get me at full ADD medication height at this time. So it's like 75 things I want to tell you in a half hour. But in your head, it's also cool to be like that 8 Mile thing. Remember 8 Mile at the end of the movie where Eminem grabs the mic and it's his turn, and they're rap battling or whatever. And he just says all of the shittiest things you can say, you could possibly think to say about him. He says it first. And when he does this, it completely disarms the other person because like, what are they going to say? He just reamed himself out and he lost the battle, the other guy, because he had nothing left to say. In our minds, sometimes the fear, like, I hope I look good. I hope I look good. I hope I look good. We kind of get convinced otherwise, thinking about other people's reactions. Was he looking at me? Did she like stare at me? Like, do I have a role anywhere? That's the issue. But if you're telling yourself like, all right, I'm out, I'm wearing this comfy ass romper and I might have some rolls visible and people might stare at them. My thighs are bigger than some people's. Like if you just call that out to yourself and then go out and see that you have a great time, you have a much easier going day, it becomes safer. So that's the biggest thing. If you want to wear something and you're a little bit afraid of somebody else's reaction or a lot of bit afraid of someone else's reaction, purposely do that. Because again, it just expands that comfort zone. I literally did that yesterday. I saw a cute dress with a comfy look to it on Insta and in a fun, 60s inspired dress, and picked a size off the chart and ordered. Yes, update us because I want to see this dress. I love that. Finally, vintage fashion is like vintage, but being made now. You know what I mean? Like it's inspired by that because a couple things. One, drives the price up at thrift shops, which is no good. Number 2, that old lady smell on vintage, that ain't old lady smell. That is old skin cells, skin oil, and the decay of the fabric over years. That's why they all smell the same. It wasn't that was the most popular perfume in 1963. It was that's some old ass clothes. And ever since I found that out, I have a closet full of beautiful vintage I will never wear again. So send me the link because I love like new stuff that just looks old now that I'm freaked out. So what holds me back the most is the idea of trying it on and it not fitting because I know I just won't return it in the long run. Well, maybe going in stores and going for a size that is like way bigger than what you thought and putting that on and seeing the opposite might be helpful, right? I mean, or if it fits, It's a piece of clothing that fits. I put up a video a couple of days ago, and it was one of my clients shared it with me. It was like perfect, but it was somebody in a tight pair of pants, and she was like shimmying and stuff on screen. She's like, how did I make this turn to this? And then it showed like her fitting in the jeans, and like there's some room on the hip, and it said, I bought bigger pants. Size is just bullshit. There is no regulation on clothing. So a manufacturer wants to save the most money, can truly have inches of variation in the same size clothing as another label. And it has nothing to do with anything besides economics. That's it. But we have such emotion attached to that size that we forego finding what looks great on us, because that size shouldn't be what we're wearing. But who cares? It looks great on you, or who cares? It's comfortable. It's fun. It's something you enjoy looking at in your closet. Not doing those things is not going to make you wake up with the ideal body. It's just going to mean that you have a life without things you like looking at. So I go shopping by myself or with my boyfriend only, because I don't want everyone else's input. Oh my God, what a mind trip that would be. Oh, I have to watch this time. We got 8 minutes left. Okay, sorry. Let me get through this here. I definitely want to talk in private more about this. I just want to make sure there's anything really trying here. The lack of knowledge of what suits my body the best. I would say define to yourself what suits your body best, because I think you should just go for whatever you like on the hanger in a size that's comfortable. And the reason for that is because what suits my body best is along the lines of what's flattering. And what's flattering, if we keep that in mind, then we'll always have a silent comparison of what we wish we were. Clothes that would look better on someone else, but not me. And weight, we may lose weight, but if you have that mindset, it's hard to lose weight, right? Because we're so hard on ourselves. But even if you felt that way, it would still be about what suits you best. So why? It's just an extra effort. People are going to see your body in any clothing you wear. Do you want to go out in like a G-string and like 2 napkins? If no, don't wear that. That doesn't suit your body. But aside from that, just wear what you want that's comfortable. And I promise you'll see your life is unchanged for the worse, and definitely changed for the better. None of it matters. I think this is all freaking simulation sometimes, most of the time. But, none of it really matters. People will think what they think about your body shape. Wearing one shirt versus the other isn't going to make people think that. They're probably not even noticing, to be honest. Ultimately, dress for you. It's not easy to do that. It's fucking terrifying, but it's definitely something to work towards, because just, we got enough to worry about, Let's talk about cooking. First question. Well, I guess I could do this all at once. So, do you like cooking, and why? Or if you do not like cooking, why don't you? So tell me in the chat, if you like cooking, why do you like it? And if you do not like cooking, why don't you? And try to remove energy, try to remove the logistics out of it. We're just talking about like in an ideal world, you had all the time, resources, and energy to cook. Would you still enjoy that? Would you be happy to do that, or would you not? And if so, why? I like being creative in the kitchen. Love experimenting with food, different tastes, textures, and smells. I agree with all these. Anybody who doesn't like cooking, who's here? I love my anti-cooking people, because it's okay. It's okay to be that way, It's kind of like looked down on, but why? Evie talks about it all the time. She's like, I don't like cooking. I do it because I have to. My mother-in-law is like that. The best cook in the freaking world. Like she cooks so well, but she literally says, I just do it because I have to. I don't enjoy it. So it's okay. I like being creative in the kitchen. Yep, I read that already. I love cooking. It's like self-care. It's a self-care type of thing for me. I get in the kitchen by myself and turn on a show on my phone and just have some me time to unwind from the day. I like it, but I also consider assembling things cooking. Like making meals at home and cooking doesn't mean I have to make everything from scratch. Oh, absolutely. You see, I cut corners all the time. hmm It's all about that flavor for me, like flavor, ease, texture. That's where it's at for me. And I don't have to make everything. Like I don't have to grow it in my garden and go bring it in and make it from scratch, you know? It would be nice. It's just not reality. Makes more enjoyable for me if I don't have to churn my own butter, right? Like, oh my God. I love cooking because of all the sensory things, the smells, the visuals, the sounds, and of course, taste. I also like being creative, but I have a love-hate relationship with it. It's sort of like that sometimes I'm doing it because I have to. Yeah. And I think for me, also something that I don't know if you guys can relate, it's like a dopamine boost because you complete that process. You do, you follow the recipe, you get everything together, and then you have a final result. And that final result, hopefully, is something you're enjoying eating or other people are enjoying eating. I love to cook, and even if I don't eat it, I like to watch other people eat my cooking, truly. I'm gonna creep you guys out if any of you come to the retreat where I'm just gonna be like, you like it? Because I love cooking for people. Cooking for myself is when I have a hard time because it's like there's so much we have to think about. And then there's so much, there's time, there's planning, there's the energy, changing from modes. If you remember, those of you who are with me around pandemic time, I talked a lot about people how are having a hard time because they don't have clearly defined modes of their day. Well, that might not be so much of an issue now, but now that we've returned to a place where we have to have all these different modes, things like baking something you had a craving for last week to make it hormone friendly, like that's great, but it's just hard to find the desire to prioritize that in the mix. Can anyone relate to that? Once I start cooking, I really enjoy it, but I also think the worst part of adulting is deciding what to eat all the time. Exactly. It's the thought process that's daunting, not so much the act itself. It's not that you're making anything super hard. You're not like assembling a beef Wellington in front of Gordon Ramsay, but it's just figuring out what the hell to make. It's so much easier to be like, oh my God, screw it, I'm just going to order out today. Or just be like, I don't know, can I just have like cereal? We've all been there. So when it comes to this, my motto, troubleshooting is everything. If something is not working for you, that means that it's just the application isn't the correct way. So we go in and we try to figure out what needs to change. So for that, what would make cooking easier or more fun or more frequent? Let's say if you found a genie lamp and you can just like rub the lamp, make a wish, right? What would you wish for to make cooking easier or more fun? You thought I was lying when I said I sip every few minutes, right? If I had an island, I really thought you meant like the Bahamas or something, but either island, and comfy bar stools so I could sit and talk with people without it hurting my body. Yeah. Someone to just tell me what to cook. Yeah, you get that. I get that. And I don't have kids. I can't even. Someone to just tell me, oh, you read that? Full-size dishwasher. What else would make cooking easy or fun, especially for anybody here who's like, well, I don't know what the hell to make. Someone to come tell me what to make. A plan for what I'm cooking the whole week so I don't have to decide. Okay, let me ask you guys a question though. If you had your whole week's meals already done in your fridge, all you got to do is heat it up. Some of you will be all for this and some of you will be like, mm-mm. Personally, the day will come and I won't want what's there. Or the day will come and I'll view it as leftovers. It's not exciting, it's maybe it dries out more, it's just I have a food aversion. to a lot of prepped ahead food. But I know a lot of people who actually love that. They can eat the same thing over and over again. They just want that thought chip removed. Which one are you? Another kitchen confidence Zoom would be so helpful on this. It might be crazy, but figure out something we can all pick something to make and we can cook together while on Zoom. That could be intense, but we can try. I definitely have the kitchen set up now. After Brain Camp, maybe the next series we do will just focus on the kitchen or ordering or something. I told you it was a crazy idea. I'm imagining, it's kind of cute though, like imagining all of us in our respective kitchens. I love that. So I would be okay for a day or two only. Yeah, I'll leave it in my fridge and it'll rot. Yeah, or I'm famous for taking home leftovers from a restaurant because I feel bad throwing it out and absolutely never eating it. I just throw it out a few days later from my fridge. And truthfully, you shouldn't eat food that's been like, what is that, like the killer pasta disease or something like that? Or it's like 5-day rice virus, something where it's like it's pasta or rice, but if you have it for longer than 5 days, it can start to develop like a deadly bacteria. So all those Instagrammers with those fancy Tupperwares, but so the idea behind asking you all this, one, we can talk about it more in depth in person, of course, but go with how you are. That's my motto with everything. Go along with how you are. For me, all I do think about ahead with food is I think, okay, do I have any basic things I can throw together and get calories in during the day? That's my standard. Make sure I have carbonate or base culture, make sure I have my Jello, my whipped cream, my heavy cream, eggs. I know it's only June in New Jersey, but Taylor ham, I just had that for breakfast, because it's like super calorie packed. Probably order it online, to be honest. Just having that stuff around. I don't plan meals. I just think of what I can shove down my gullet so I can get my calories during the day. Because we don't need some Michelin star shit during the day, right? We're busy. But we also don't want, like, if you get to that point where you're like, damn it, I have to eat. That you don't need anything special at that point. You just need to get it over with, right? Dinner is kind of the time when people dinner and then like after dinner snacks and dessert is when people are going after the enjoyment foods typically. So I make sure I have stuff I can just shove down my gullet in the fridge for the day. And I make sure I have varying types of meats in my freezer for that week. And the night before, I take 2 meats out because I will forget the next day. So I make sure I take 2 different types of meats out, one for the next day, and then that one for the day after that. I don't know why that works better for me. I, for some reason, do not forget to take it out if I'm doing 2 days at a time. So for me, that's my system. Then when the moment hits, I can say, what am I in the mood for texture wise? What am I in the mood for flavor wise? And then I can try and just make the meat that I've taken out using what I'm kind of in the mood to taste. And then that's how I proceed. But I don't plan anything ahead because I just won't want it when the time comes. It's just how my brain operates. Even if I haven't made it yet, if I have an idea of what I'm going to make, unless it's something I'm super excited for, I will tend to just half-ass it because the time comes and I'm over it, So, okay, let's move on to communication real quick. I apologize, I'm going over. I'm going to try to keep it during lunch hour. Absolutely. So this is really heavily about our communicating for this portion because I didn't know what direction to go in this, but I love talking about communication. So what do you feel your biggest communication gripe is between these following options? Either being heard and understood or verbalizing what you feel or need. What do you struggle with more? Either being heard and understood or verbalizing what you feel and need. Being heard and understood, verbalizing. Okay, so can you guys give an example, as short as you can as possible, an example of a time where you felt like you didn't quite know how to verbalize something you really wanted to, or you tried to and it was unheard? Verbalizing, I keep everything inside and then get resentful. God, these shoes gotta come off. I hear keep everything inside and then I get resentful. So that's interesting. When we do that, it's because a lot of past shit, a lot of the past of not being able to hold someone accountable or a past of injustice, let's say, that is being brought to the surface at that point where you feel something and it might be completely different than what the actual person is feeling or thinking, but you might be interpreting that way. And then because of the disappointment of the past or the trauma of the past, it's easy to assume that it's easy to think that it would be putting yourself in a bad position if you didn't assume their intent. It's scary to vocalize how you're feeling and risk not being acknowledged or being invalidated or being made to feel stupid or too sensitive, because God forbid we're sensitive. I grew up hearing that all the time. You're too sensitive. Don't think so much. Wow, I shouldn't. Thank God someone told me not to think so much. If only. But it's difficult because then people could mean well and just truly not know what to do. And then it's coming across in a certain way that creates a course, like it creates a path that maybe would be different if both thought processes were communicated to each other. But it's scary. I think I'm a mixture of both to an extent. With my family, they definitely don't hear or understand anything. They just think I should not eat and that I need to have small portions. My boyfriend totally understands what I can eat and is getting the hang of it. I do think I don't verbalize to him how my body really feels most of the time because I don't want to feel like a burden. So for this, put yourself, like, let's flip the roles, right? If you found out that your boyfriend was feeling really sick all the time and hiding it from you because he didn't think that you could handle it or you would view him the same way. So instead of allowing you to help him and be a part of this, he hid all of what he's going through, all of the ways in which you could maybe help him feel better. He hid all that from you purposely. If you found out that happened, you'd feel, how would you feel? Because we never think about that, but it's not like, we're living our best lives, our best versions of ourselves if we're not feeling well. And hiding that component from someone who could potentially really help us feel better and enjoy our relationship and our time together more, it's like not giving the option to the partner to be able to support the other. You'd feel like, wow, he can't trust me to have his back. Like, wow, he can't rely on me. Like I'm not allowed to be there for him in this way, even though that's not at all what your intention is. Your intention is to not be a burden, but inadvertently that could lead to it feeling burdensome. It's difficult, but we see this all the time. And I used to be the same exact way. I did that sappy ass post on Instagram last week with me and Nick in the pool. I'm so weird with couples posts. I don't know, because I feel like it's most of the time it's like bullshit online, when you see these influencers with like these loving, so because we never know, they could be cursing at each other behind the scenes, whatever gets likes. So whenever I put one up, I'm like, but look for the one of me and Nick in the pool. I think that's a good one for that. With a specific friend, if they don't understand sometimes that I'm disabled and I tell them my struggles all the time, but it's not getting through to them how I want it to. And I always am asking for more emotional labor from me instead of just looking it up. And then sometimes because of history, I come off harsh because I'm just tired. So here's the thing. If a friend is not recognizing that you're disabled, let me start here. You can take two of the most compatible people in the entire world, super compatible, like meant to be together as a friend, as a relationship, whatever. And still, because of genetics, because of upbringing, because of life, I don't know, a million things, though each person's brain only knows how to interpret and vocalize the way we know how and have been trained to internalize, take in and vocalize. So interpret and vocalize. So that being said, we we need to be able to communicate the way our brain is working to other people, even if they don't understand it, because that's not how they are. No two people are the same. They're never going to fully understand. That's why it then becomes so important to maybe make it like something so concrete that it's unavoidable. Now, the other side of that is that when you've done that time and time again, and you've said, I need X, Y, and Z, and they cannot still understand that it's because you're disabled. And if they have questions, they should go find answers, not from you, right? There is a statute of limitations on that shit, right? Like, how many times do you have to go through it? So an easy response is, when you're disappointing them, let's say, because they want to pretend you're not disabled, all you have to say is, this is me reminding you I'm disabled. Let it go after that. Do what you want. After that moment, don't look for anything from them, because they're going to disappoint you. And that allows you to decide, well, what's the depth I want to even go into with this relationship then? And it's okay to have friends at arm's length, and maybe they'd be great friends, but they don't know how to be a great friend to somebody who needs that extra level from them, because their brain is the way their brain is. Your brain is the way your brain is. We all are. It's about finding people that you can bridge that gap without heartache. Those are the people that should stay in your life, right? Like, in a deep manner. So, not to say you should go burn bridges all over the place, like you know, but you owe it to yourself to be like, listen, this person just ain't ever going to understand me. It's not about me changing how I am delivering it so that they understand. It's about them willfully not understanding. And I have my boundary of how much emotional labor I'm going to share. I think you've been more than generous. So I go through that with my partner. He won't burden because he thinks I have too much on, but I feel left out. Okay, meaning like he won't burden you because he thinks you deal with a lot already, but you wish that he would, so you could, well, okay. Are you, Adela, open with him completely about what you go through? Or is he assuming that you have so much going on? Okay, so you go through it with him. Now, I'm sure you've asked him before, like, him before that, why don't you share this with me? Has he said to you, I don't share what I go through with you because you're dealing with a lot already? Have you guys discussed that out before? Like, hey, I don't do this because you're going through a lot. Because if you have, it's important to also follow it up with, I appreciate you caring about me. But it's the famous couples therapy way to phrase anything, right? I don't know if you realize it, and I've taught you guys this too. I don't know if you realize it, but when you do blank, it makes me feel blank as a format, rather than being like, but you do blah, 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 blah. You talk always puts people, like, they feel like they've fucked up, and then they close down or they get defensive. But if you do, I don't know if you realize, it's giving credit to that, because chances are he doesn't. But when you withhold what you're going through because you see the stuff that I'm dealing with, it makes me feel like I can't have your back. And it makes me feel like we're not as much of a team, and I want to be there for you. I share with you what I'm going through. I don't mean to overwhelm you, but I think we have a lot of room here for you to share what's going on with me so we can feel involved. Or maybe ask if you would not want you to share with him as much. Say, okay, well, on the other side of it, then, would you prefer that I didn't share what I go through with you as much if it's too overwhelming for you? Because I guarantee you, he'll be like, no, no, no. And then you can be like, well, exactly. Exactly. If you don't want me to clam up and not share with you, then I don't want you to clam up and not share with me. You're not going to run. The jig is up. So I hope that this helps. I know these are some very big topics to cover in such a minimal amount of time, but I love these topics. And in addition, I like the idea of doing a kitchen series after Brain Camp is done at the end of the month. So we'll rock with that. All right. So after this, as a piggybacking off of this, shoot me a text. Tell me what you thought. Tell me if there's anything I didn't get to in here that you really want to address or whatever. I love talking about this stuff. So let me know. Okay. Enjoy the rest of your day. and I will talk to you guys soon.